Yes.
A very warm good afternoon to everyone who have joined us. And as we are amidst of a very tough pandemic, let us invoke in Almighty's blessings to begin with a prayer.
जो कभी रोशनी दूर तक न दिखे जिंदगी में कभी जिंदगी कम लगे जो कभी आदमी से डरे आदमी जो दिलों में कभी प्यार की हो कमी भटके ना तेरा इंसान भटके ना तेरा इंसान कोई रास्ता
म्यूट कर
निकाल लेना मालिक संभाल लेना हमको संभाल लेना हिम्मत हमें तू देना मालिक संभाल लेना मैंने तो पे जिए भागे और दौड़े हम जिंदा है जब तक जीना ना छोड़े हम और कभी जो लगे रौनके खो गई भेजना पेड़ों पे पत्तियां तू नहीं सुनसान डालियों पे परिंदे उतार देना मालिक संभाल लेना हमको संभाल लेना हिम्मत हमें तू देना मालिक संभाल लेना मालिक संभाल लेना हमको संभाल लेना हिम्मत हमें तू देना मालिक संभाल लेना
Thank you, ma'am. As the need of the day is patient safety, Maharashtra chapter of ANI has chosen to take today's topic on communicating effectively for patient safety. On behalf of entire Maharashtra chapter, our president, Ms. Vincy Tribhuvan, our secretary, Ms. Shubhangi Jadhav, and myself, as well as all members of the ANI Forum of Maharashtra chapter, I take this moment to welcome Madam Thankam, who is a national vice president and founder, our vice president, Dr. Jyoti Clara, secretary, Madam Shubda Sakurikar, and the National Treasurer, Madam Ajita. We welcome you all for today's event. I invite for today's moderator, Ms. Shine Anil, the speakers for the day, Ms. Madhvi Chkale, Ms. Nehal Maikar, Ms. Prajakta Hindlekar, for taking their efforts to be present for today's event. I welcome all the nurse leaders, despite going through a tough challenge, despite being in the peak of pandemic, you all have made your time to be present for today's session. And you all nurses, I give you all a warm welcome for being present. Though you all in the midst of the pandemic, we understand that learning should go happen parallelly, and you have taken your time to be present for today's session. And my salute and gratitude goes to those nurses who are unable to present here, but could be viewing the session later on the ANI page. We welcome you one and all. I hand over the session to Ms. Vincy to take it forward. Over to you, Vincy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Very warm good afternoon to one and all, and very happy to connect with all of you once again. So, patient safety is something very close to all our hearts, and that is the most basic and fundamental element in delivering a quality care. And we nurses are the major stakeholders and almost like guardian in ensuring safety to our patients. And ineffective communication leads to poor patient outcomes. We all know, if you see it in a minimalized way, it is medication errors, sentinel events, incidences, but on major outcome, it brings out poor patient outcome and our precious resources of wastage of resources, and it ends into high healthcare costs, not only to organization and patient and relatives as well. So let us hear from our eminent nurse leaders from Mumbai how to optimize safety of our patients through effective communication. And I take this moment and indeed great pleasure in introducing Ms. Shine Anil, who is the moderator for today's event. I've had the great pleasure of working with her, and she's an extremely intelligent and knowledgeable and very unassuming, simple leader, very effective leader. She has done her BSc and MSc in pediatric nursing from SNDT University, Mumbai. She has done her diploma in hospital administration from Tata Institute of Social Science. She's an NABH assessor. She has done her simulation course from Boston. And what else? Currently she's pursuing her doctorate in nursing, and she is a resource person for various national and international seminars and conferences. Currently, she is the Chief Nursing Officer at Narayana Hrudayalaya Pediatric Hospital, Mumbai. So we welcome Ms. Shine Anil and giving over to you now.
Good morning, all. Thank you very much, Vincy, for that introduction. And I thank ANI Pioneers for giving us this opportunity to speak about patient effective communication, which enhance patient safety. Now, along with me, I have got eminent speakers who have got more than 20 years of experience. So I would like to introduce them before we start the session. We have Ms. Prajakta Hindlekar, who is an RN, MSN, and TCCN. She also is a project trainer for IAP Neonatal Resuscitation Program, and she is a Six Sigma Green Belt. She has got rich 27 years of experience in various roles in India as well in US. Currently, she is working as CNO in Breach Candy Hospital, and she is also Chief Experience Officer, which will add to today's session because she connects very well. Her day-to-day bread it is like connecting very well with the patients and families. I'm sure that she will be able to give us at the end of the session, end of the day, will be able to give us enriched experiences and scenarios. And she also has done certificate courses and published articles in journal. So there is a lot to talk about Prajakta, but I'm just giving you a brief intro of each of the speakers. Second, we have here Ms. Madhvi Chikale. She has 23 years of experience, currently working as Chief Nursing Officer at Barjabai Wadia Hospital for Children. She is a certified CVAD nurse trained from Tata Memorial Hospital. She is also an assessor for healthcare excellence, and in addition, she is the first nurse professional to complete an intercity run 160 kilometers and is a Pinkathon ambassador for Mumbai. So with a lot of energy and passion, she's here amongst our midst to share her views. Third, we have here Ms. Nehal Mavekar. She has got 25 years of experience. She is a RN and she has done Masters in Business Administration. She has got clinical experience, administrative experience, and a feather on a cap is she is well trained in quality. She's got good quality experience also. Currently, she is working as nurse educator in Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Institute. So that is about my experienced eminent speakers for the day. Now I go to the topic. Topic given to us is communicating effectively for patient safety. As you all know, it is an international patient safety and national patient safety goal. It is very pivotal. Communication is very pivotal to healthcare outcomes. And according to this Hagen, German illustrator, he says that communication reduces the chances of breakdown in continuity of care. So not going much further, I welcome Ms. Prajakta, who will talk on effective communication in clinical setup, and with her years of experience with examples, she will be enlightening our day today. So I welcome Ms. Prajakta. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to one and all. First of all, thank you, Annie and Maharashtra chapter, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Shine, for that wonderful introduction. Shine and me have been connecting on various forums. And first, before I begin, I congratulate all our nursing colleagues for their great contribution in taking care of individuals, not only in the hospital, but more in the community. Because I have seen many people, many nurses are looked upon great support, especially those who are not getting admitted. So big kudos to all of you. And we have limited time, so I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
No, Prajakta, we are not able to see.
1 minute. Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
Prajakta, we can.
Am I audible to all?
Yes.
Yes, Prajakta.
Okay, so without wasting much time, I thought, all our nurses are Google queens and Google kings. So, a brief what is effective and what is communication. So what is effective is nothing but successfully producing the result that we want to have. And what is communication? It is act of sharing or exchanging information, ideas, and also feeling. Okay. Next thing is, now what is together effective communication? It is nothing but process of exchanging ideas, thoughts, knowledge, and information such that the purpose or intention. It is very important because in nursing, we communicate for a purpose and there is an intention that has to be met, fulfilled in the best possible manner. In simple words, is nothing but presentation of views of sender, which we expect that best understood by the receiver. Now, why I have written in my third slide itself errors and sentinel events, because in the beginning, my moderator mentioned that patient safety is very, very important, and communication actually revolves to ensure that patient safety is taken care. Now, when I was preparing, I saw there were n number of articles, research, that indicates that communication among healthcare professionals is one of the leading causes of medical errors or something what we called as hospital acquired conditions, which cause direct patient harm. If you look at the Joint Commission data, communication failures were implicated at the root over more than 70% of sentinel event. Now, to add to this, the communication is where does it stand? If you look at now healthcare institutes, they are on the risk identification, mitigation, and prevention. So what are the three kinds of risk that any healthcare institute looks at? Clinical, financial, and legal risk. Now the first, clinical risk. In order to mitigate the clinical risk, people are looking at international patient safety goals. We have 6, I hope all the delegates are aware, and it is nothing but list of everything that can go wrong in patient care. And if you look at the number 2 is communication, that is improve communication among staff, staff and doctor, staff and patient, everything is included in that. So that tells us that communication is so much important when we are giving or rendering healthcare. Now, why it is important to communicate effectively? Now, again here, when the communication is effective, it is actually a hallmark of something called as highly reliable patient care. If you read that people are talking about reliability in patient care, which actually ensures 100% patient safety. It not only ensures that, but also empowers to participate as full partners in their care. Now, what are we doing? Now we are talking about empowered nurses. Now, the other side of the coin is our empowered patients. Now, what do you mean by empowered patient? It is nothing but those who exactly know what is happening with their healthcare. So what it is going to do, it is going to nourish the internal locus of control. I remember learning this in my first year of nursing. In fundamental nursing, we learn something called as control. Every individual like to have control of himself. Now in healthcare, what happens when patients come to us? The way we respect their identity, the way we maintain their self-respect is nothing but nourishing the internal control of patient. And when this happens, the outcomes are phenomenal. Compliance, adherence becomes very, very easy. Now, I'll give you just one example when we are talking about adherence to the treatment. A simple discharge instruction, okay? You have number of drugs, okay? And most of the drugs are BD or twice a day. Take an example of an diuretic. You tell the patient that, this has to be taken twice a day. And as we know, breakfast and dinner, patient will take it at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Now, particularly with diuretic, a patient who is managing himself, there is no help at home, he may be defaulter or non-compliant to a diuretic if he takes at 8 p.m. I think all the nurses understand here, if the diuretic is taken at 8 p.m., the second, the BD dose, what happens? Your sleep goes for a toss. So here the effective communication when you give your discharge instruction that the second, the BD dose of diuretic has to be taken at 4 p.m. and explaining the patient that, why you take 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. so that your sleep is undisturbed. Now, this is a classical example of effective communication, ensuring adherence to the treatment and self-management by the patient. Now, there is something I got very interesting about correlation because, nowadays it is data-driven healthcare. We are generating a lot of data which would help us to plan our care better. Now, what is the correlation between effective communication and health outcomes? Nurses' ability to explain, very simple, listening is very, very important for effective communication, and also what is the clinical outcome is divided into biological and functional. Biological, everybody is aware, what we see, symptoms resolution, patients are clinically better. Now, there is something called as functional health outcomes, which very much depend on your communication with empathy. So if you are explaining well, listening well, that's not enough. Especially look at our COVID pandemic now. You are on in full PPE, what happens? The soft conversations go for a toss, because obviously in PPE, you're not able to, the patient cannot hear you if you speak softly. I'm explaining only the practical aspects, so it will be useful, and day to day we meet with such situations. So in that case, to make sure that your communication is effective, maybe what we can do, or many hospitals are doing it, that there is a telephonic conversation by the senior nurse to a patient who is COVID positive, ensuring that empathy, all that tender loving care is communicated through a phone, because in PPE it is becoming very, very challenging. Same way, effective communication also includes that when patient comes, I'm taking example of COVID, what we do is we tell patients, due to PPE, we may have to speak louder. Now, louder speaking, the same empathy may not be communicated, but making sure telling patient, and same way, the patient should not feel when they are talking that, oh, this nurse is not listening, paying attention to me. So telling that they also may have to say, speak louder. These are all practical, challenges, ensuring that your empathy is communicated, and something called as functional health outcome. Because what happens, hospital itself is a stressful situation, and ensuring the good mental health, which promotes the biological health, and also the satisfaction is there for patients as well as the relatives. Now, next thing, I thought I would elaborate on the situation. I have purposely not put the case scenario here because I want the attention of all the delegates. So I will be narrating the situation, and we will see how the effective communication in clinical setup ensures patient safety. So here is a situation where John is a nurse and working in an ICU, and very hardworking, and very compassionate. Now there are two patients John is managing today, and one patient is being transferred to an monitoring, step down unit from ICU. Now in preparation, the nurse arranged John, knows that to make sure patient Smith and patient Shaw, everything is ready for reporting to the receiving nurse, and all handoff is complete for their care. Everything, the John is so well prepared to give handover. Now, as he is planning to transfer Mr. Smith to a step down unit, what happens is there is another call that Miss Shaw has to be taken for some test. So this is a typical situation, transition, there is a transfer out of one patient, the nurse is busy looking after other patient, and also the preparation for handoff. And what happens is all the preparations are complete. But unfortunately, what happens during the transfer, Miss Shaw, who is on heparin drip, the heparin drip is getting over. Okay. Now, this is a very typical situation. So John prepares the heparin drip. If you can keep the audio muted, please. Delegates, it's a request. Now heparin drip is ready. Heparin drip, John puts it for the patient, and a beautiful handover is given to a nurse, utilizing SBAR, situation, background, assessment, recommendation. He talks to a nurse, gives the full report, and also confirms that if there are any questions. Now, this is what a sound nurse does, a very systematic handover, ensuring whatever care was given in ICU is also continued in a step down unit. Now, what happens now, the nurse John is gone to take other patient for some test and comes back. So that time the ICU doctor or resident gives a verbal order that the previous patient who John had, heparin drip has to be stopped. So, the verbal order is read back by the nurse. Now, upon confirmation, the John actually asked the doctor, because, this particular patient who was transferred had an renal stenosis. Okay. But then the resident doctor tells, no, this is the order, please stop it. Now, when the John gives handover to the step down nurse that this has to be discontinued, the nurse in the step down unit tells that just now you gave me handover, that patient has renal stenosis and we cannot stop the heparin. Now here, there is a mnemonic, that, in a busy unit or even otherwise also we have that is called as CUS. Both the nurses are concerned. They are very uncomfortable that if I stop, patient may, have the stenosis can worsen. There is a safety issue here. So what do? They go to a higher level, call the consultant. They decide, the step down nurse actually calls the consultant and tells him that I am concerned, this particular patient has got renal stenosis. How can we stop this heparin? So the consultant, the cardiologist tells that, yes, you cannot discontinue. Please continue the heparin drip. And also tells them that please even tell the resident doctor that, this order should not be carried out. And also it has to be changed on the papers. So you can see in this situation, because the handover was given very well, both nurses raised, the effective communication between during handoff has helped that everything was communicated, and for safety it was immediately escalated and patient was saved from a dangerous complication. So this is how in clinical setup the empowered nurses, assertive nurses can prevent, patient harm. Now next thing I would like to share is, Shine, I have time, no?
2 minutes. 2
2
minutes.
minutes, okay. This is a quick innovation, in effective communication. I thought I'll share with delegates. You know that discharge communication is also a very important transitional care communication. Now what happens, the discharge errors are called as multiple errors, because whatever goes in discharge card or, discharge instruction, if there is a communication gap, this is carried out and it is more dangerous than communication in the hospital, which, can be corrected. So one has to be extremely careful. So one of the University of Alabama, what they did is they actually recorded the discharge instructions, and these instructions were available for 30 days. Patient or the caregiver can make one call and get those discharge instructions heard again. So this actually brought brilliant, results. There were 55% decrease in the readmission. As you know, that readmission is a no-no. That reflects that, either it was a premature discharge, or, maybe there is something clinically not sound. And also it also increased the patient satisfaction. Patients were more comfortable. So I found this was very, very innovative when it comes to making, effective communication work for patients. So I think that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shine.
Thank you very much, Prajakta. You really went into the depth of it, how important it is, effective communication. And also you gave us, and everybody knows about it, but you really emphasized that it is an important patient safety goal, and it helps us in understanding, sharing information. And the best part is that if you communicate effectively, the nurse automatically develops the confidence. Okay? So that is really a wonderful talk. Now I go to the next speaker, that is Miss Madhavi. Now, just to give an intro about her topic is, we as doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals, what we do is we communicate. We communicate verbally, we communicate telephonically, but there are other modes now. Through desktop, you can communicate. Through mobile app, you can communicate. Through WhatsApp, you can communicate. Okay, you can communicate at any time, at any location. You can share images, you can share results, okay, you can share text messages. All this is possible. Now, the next topic, correction, that's Snehal. Snehal will be talking about, Snehal Mavekar will be talking about how effectively nurses communicate in reporting, test, and reports. Either nurse to nurse, or it could be nurse or doctor, or it could be nurse to caretakers. So I welcome Snehal for the next topic. Thank you. Snehal? Snehal, can you unmute yourself?
Nehal's screen is frozen. I think there's a network connectivity issue.
Yeah.
Yes, Nehal is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Snehal, you will take over. Snehal, are you in?
Full screen कर.
Can I start with this screen, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, please. Yes, please.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I would like to thank Annie and Maharashtra chapters leader for giving me an opportunity to speak in this forum. Effective communication is very important for patient safety. Nurses are empowered. She is a leader at her workplace. She takes initiative in patient care. I would like to share some events where nurses have taken initiatives and saved the life of the patient. Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, 55 years old, came to OPD for ECG cardiology department. Nurse has taken the ECG
Snehal,
and she, yes ma'am,
Snehal, PPT is there?
yes. Okay.
I'm unable to see your PPT.
ओके मॅम 1 मिनिट शेअर नाही केलं होतं शेअर नाही झालं 1 मिनिट मी करते आय थिंक मला क्लिक मला दिसते नाही केली मित्र स्क्रीन शेअर नाही झाली शेअर करा तिकडनं केलं
करते. हे इकडे दाबायचं. आता तुम्ही ठीक आहे. आता हे जे आहे ना.
Yes,
हे
we
ना,
can see. Just make it slideshow.
येस
Yeah, you can continue, Snehal.
Okay, ma'am. Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, 55 years old, came to the OPD for ECG. Cardiology department nurse has taken ECG and she found some changes in her report. Immediately, she took patient on stretcher and told receptionist to inform CCU the patient is coming. As soon as she reached ICCU, ECG shown to ICCU registrar and ECG showed severe myocardial infarction. So immediately treatment was started and life of the patient was saved. So this is the one more patient nurse initiative. Mrs. Jayashree Renuke, 59 years old. She is admitted with the complaint of dehydration and UTI. Blood investigations was sent. And when nurse receives the result, she found potassium was increased and the sodium was decreased. Immediately she informed the consultant and she has started the treatment. She has started GI drip, Astalin nebulization and the K-bind sachet. And patient was stable after that. We'll see one more example where nurse has taken the initiative. There are so many examples, but we have taken just selected. Mr. Praveen Mathani, 73 years old. He is having the history of hypertension and the diabetes. At the time of handing and taking over, nurse found the patient was drowsy. On admission, investigations were sent. Immediately, she stressed the blood reports and reports were shown the potassium increase, sodium decrease, creatinine elevated. Immediately, she informed the consultant and patient shifted to ICU for the further management. We all know And I am sure everyone will have witnessed some or other such events where nurses have proactively taken the initiatives at the right time. Nurses are professionals, not followers. They not only assist the doctors, but also identify the problems and fix them with immediate solutions. When we talk about the empowerer, what is empowerment? Empowerment is giving nurses the authority to make decisions about their activities towards patient care. And nurse use this power in patient care where patient is in critical conditions. When we spoke about these said examples, nurses have imbibed some qualities. These nurses have knowledge and capacity to take good decisions. And because of that, they are confident. And their approach toward patients was very quick. And more important, they have true concern and sense of urgency from within. And definitely, they are the good future leader. We have to develop leaders who take nursing profession to next level. Nurses are the backbone in patient care. They provide vital service to patient and other healthcare providers also. They are specialized in patient care, prepare patient for testing, and evaluate health progresses. Clinical decisions rely on the diagnostic performance and the interpretation. Clinical decisions depends on diagnostic investigations, which is the backbone of patient care. And this includes X-ray, scan, and the blood investigations. As soon as the results are available, it should be informed to the respective personnel. The process of diagnostic testing can be conceptualized in a cycle of phases. The phases are the pre-test phase, intra-test phase, post-test phase, point of care phase. When we talk about the nurse's responsibility, here same thing, effective communication is very, very important for safety of the patient. Communication among the individual who prescribe the test, the patient and the individual who performs the test is very important. When we talk about these phases, we'll see the first pre-test phase. In pre-test phase, nurses' focus is the patient preparation, where teaching and communication with the patient is very important. In these things, we can ask we can see what type of sample is needed, how will it be collected, like mode of collection, what equipments to be used, about the devices, then does it need fasting prior to the procedure, pre-preparation process also come, does it need administration of diet, are medications prohibited, are medication are food restricted or food can you mute very well, please? Are fluids restricted or forced? Is consent required and how long is the test? And so on, we can see it. Then we'll see the intra-test phase. In intra-test, our focus is on specimen collection and performing or assisting with certain diagnostic testings. The nurse uses standard precautions or sterile techniques as appropriate, provide emotional and physical support through monitoring of clients' vital signs, pulse oximetry, and the ECG, etc. Ensures correct labeling, storage, and transportation of the specimen. And in third phase, post-test phase. So here, nurses must also notify the doctor when result come abnormal and critical that requires an immediate response. Sorry. Fourth is the point of care testing. In point of care testing, These are the simple medical tests and can be performed at the bedside. The point of care testing or near patient testing products are available for urine, blood, and other clinical chemistry analysis. The POCT includes SpO2 testing, rapid cardiac markers, CRP, urine test, fecal occult blood analysis, and so on. The point of care test. What is the point of care testing? The point of care testing is, yes, ma'am.
2 minutes for you.
The point of care testing is the provision of a test at the point at which the result will be used to make a decision and take appropriate action which will result in an improved health outcomes. And where we can use it? We can use it at home, work, leisure places, pharmacy, health centers, paramedical vehicles, emergency room, operating room, outpatient clinics, wards, and the laboratories. And why it is important? Because it makes a quicker decision, instigate urgent treatment, counsel a patient, empower the patient, where Madam Prajakta just now told like the empowerment of the patient, and it's improve the patient outcome and the save the money. In point of care testing, widely assured criteria for rapid test by WHO. Assured is a synonymous. A for affordable, S for sensitive, S for specific, U for user friendly, simple to perform, R for robust and rapid, E for equipment free, D for deliverable to those who need the test. The type of devices does not a POCT test. POCT range from simplest dipsticks to sophisticated automated molecular test on portable analyzer and imaging system. Point of care testing is today's challenges. Maintaining good quality system, changing clinical practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Snehal. What I want to emphasize here again, to add on to what you said, point of care testing. Here, nurses play a vital role in communicating the reports to the doctors. So it's very important the nurse has, like, as you addressed, there has to be a lot of qualities in a nurse. Like example, all those qualities, what we have learned, she should be a good communicator, she should be very crisp, she should be very clear what she speaks. She should be very, there should be clarity in what she talks. She should frame. So as Prajakta told about, we can have tools for communication, that is SBAR tool, which you spoke about. What Snehal spoke about, you can have acronym for this communication so that it forms a framework for a nurse to speak, which gives again the confidence. So thank you very much, Snehal, for finishing dot time. Next, I go on to a senior speaker, Ms. Madhavi. She will focus on and she will a little more emphasize how this communication builds understanding. So her topic for today is effective communication with caretakers, especially when the nurse is giving a health education or during end of life care. What is the nurse's role in communicating effectively so that the other person understands what you have communicated? Over to Madhavi. Thank you, Shine.
Snehal, may I request you to stop sharing?
Snehal, yeah, stop sharing. Madhavi, we can see. We can start. Just a moment.
Yeah. Am I audible, Shine?
Yes, you're audible and we can view the screen.
Thank you. A very good afternoon to you all. And firstly, let me thank
Madhvi, your voice can't hear you now. Madhvi,
chapter for giving us all this.
Madhvi, we couldn't hear you. Can you just repeat? Madhvi, your voice is breaking.
We have lost Madhvi's connectivity.
Okay. Okay, meanwhile, when Madhvi will join back very soon. So meanwhile, I just would like to ask a question to Prajakta. Prajakta, you are in?
Yes, fine.
Yeah. Prajakta, can you share some tip on how to handle this difficult, stressed out patients and relatives?
Yes, this is, I think, very common. Every experienced nurse has faced, and we have some people who are expert in doing that. So first of all, I would say that as a nurse, you have to be very, very poised. What happens that when the angry patient, very annoyed patient or relative comes, there is a lot of negative energy. It should not touch our positivity. Very important. Secondly, you can take them to a quiet room. They may start, sometimes it is such a scene that it may be in the corridor when so many other people are there. So you request them, tell them to follow you, tell them that let us go, and talk. We will address every concern that they have. Then listen mindfully. This is very important. A lot of things now people talk about mindfulness. You may have a lot of gadgets with you. Just keep those gadgets away. Angry, annoyed relative or patient, what they need is your full attention. Be present. Very important. I think these basic common things, if you follow, your 50% work, and pacifying them is done. Secondly, you may offer them water. If it is an elderly person, you tell them that, sir, madam, calm down. Just have some water. We are going to have a communication. If you remain, in this particular state of anger, it's not going to be a good communication. You talk to them very politely. We do this because in our hospital, this situation is, not uncommon. Secondly, as I said, make notes, show interest that, you are really interested in addressing every concern that they have. I think Madhvi is here. Shall I continue or stop?
Yes. Thank you very much. Madhvi, you can continue.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Share your screen and you can start.
Yeah, share my screen. So once again, thank you for being patient. Again, a technical error. When my turn came, all of a sudden the network had concerns. So good afternoon to you all once again, and thank you to the Annie Maharashtra chapter for giving us all this wonderful opportunity of learning during the testing times. And lastly, I need to thank the participants who have been here in spite of all their busy schedule. I have given some time to themselves to be a part of this session and take the new learnings back home. So thank you, Shine. And about the effective communication with the caretakers. So wherein we have heard from our eminent speakers previously how communication of a nurse with the patients and the relatives has to be very effective enough. So how can that be, and how do we do with the caretakers? So as a caretaker, we need to communicate with many people. So the family and the friends, the co-workers, support services, employers, the healthcare professionals, and sometimes even the insurance companies. So these are all different levels and type of people that a nurse has to communicate. So you're most likely to be heard. It's very well said. If you're most likely to be heard if we listen. So it's very important that we listen and follow the CAT. So this is an acronym for CAT. So where you say you have to be very clear when you're talking something, when you're giving an instruction to the patient, to the caregiver, to the caretaker, or the relative or the family. Be clear, be very assertive, and be constructive. Now, how do you get the desired outcome? When you're clear, you're assertive, you're constructive, but you can't do away with the stress level and the added responsibilities. How do you stay focused? Yeah, that is very important. So I would really share with you all, with experience, what I have learned through all these nursing years, from being a junior level nurse to where I am currently, is to, you have to acquire it. It doesn't come with any learning or any sessions. You have to learn it on your own. So when you come across where you have to give away the teachings, here you have to take a deep breath first, calm yourself first. So first you need to hold yourself. So must acquire skills, have patience, control your own conflicting emotions and the judgments you would like to make about the patient or the relatives you're going to talk to. And last but not the least, stay organized. So how do we actually all, after we have acquired the skills, you have composed yourselves and everything in place, what have we to know more before we start delivering effective health education? So first thing, there is a type where you decide the family caregivers. So they come under different 4 categories, that is carrier, manager, partner, and lone. So a carrier, one who avoids discussing caregiving with the family, but may discuss with others. The manager is one who acts as a family decision maker. A partner is the one who addresses the conflict related to decision making and the care with the patient or the family. The lone type of caregiver is the one who focuses on one aspect of care, typically the physical part, and cannot consider all aspects of holistic care. So what exactly happens after you understand this type of caregivers? Here, the main objective is to understand a family caregiver communication typology and demonstrate identifiable communication challenges. Once you understand them, you know, there are the 4 caregiver types: manager, carrier, partner, lone. Once you understand, you will be able to deliver the communication, the education that you want to give. A little pointers for that: the partner and the lone caregiver reported the lowest psychological distress, with the carrier caregivers feeling least prepared, and the manager caregiver reporting the lowest physical quality of life. Research provides the first evidence-based validation for a family caregiver communication typology and its relationship to the caregiver's outcomes. So our major priority is the outcome of the communication that we deliver to the caregivers. So ultimately, the conclusion, when you come to it, it shows that once you identify them, you recognize the specific caregiver type with the help of the nurse to adapt their own communication to provide tailored support. So how does it, what does it implicate on the nursing practice? The understanding the challenge among the 4 family caregiver communication types will enable the nurses to better address the caregiver burden and understand the family conflicts, if any. So how does this all help us in the role? This is how, once you understand the typology of the caregiver, the effective patient education starts from the time the patient is admitted to the hospital. I may also say right from the time the patient steps into the OPD until it is discharged. Nurse should take advantage of any appropriate opportunity throughout the patient's stay to teach the patient about self-care. The self-care instruction may include anything right from how to inject insulin to bathing an infant or changing a colostomy pouch. So how important is the nurse's role in the health education? So let me tell you all, we play a very vital role. It's in promoting the public health. Currently, with the current circumstances, you know how important and our role has more become. Traditionally, the focus of health promotion by nurses has been on the disease prevention and changing the behavior of the individual with respect to their health. The nurse role as promoters of health is more complex since they have multidisciplinary knowledge and experience of health promotion in their nursing practice. Now, just before we go further for the health education, how important nurses' role is, just asking you a question: what do you understand by learning? What do you understand by learning? So we can pin down something like as dynamic, cannot pin it down as dynamic is learning. We can note it, it's a course and character. Learning is not a matter of adding something. Learning involves change in behavior. Please mark this, it involves change in behavior. So from all the above, we can say learning occurs within the individual, whereas education is often defined as the teaching the learner or the process of helping the learner learn. Health education focuses on social change, which begins at the individual learning of a nurse. So you understand why I asked this question, what is learning? So as a nurse, what you learn, what you learn is going to be effective. It's going to make that communication more effective and bringing the change in behavior of the patient and its relatives and going further in the community. So what is the art of health education is not learned? Yeah, as if it is not learned, without a proper education, patient safety is compromised. A patient may go home with multiple things, might resume unhealthy habits, ignore management of the medical condition, which may lead to return to hospital, risk his own safety. But what if you do it properly? And the nurse may instruct about the following and ensure patient safety by self-care steps they need to take, why they need to maintain self-care, how to recognize the warning signs, what to do if a problem occurs, and who to contact if they have questions. These are some of the things that the nurse needs to assess. But how does she do? How does she ensure the patient comprehend? So assess, first thing is to assess to pinpoint, understand your patient, build a rapport with the patients and the relatives, adjust your teaching strategies to fit to the patient's preferences. Many patients want a detailed information, whereas some patient will just request for a checklist saying they just need the action points, nothing more, no summary. So once nurse completes the patient assessment, they can provide the instruction by using the following, like common words and phrases, and the reading material needs to be at the 6th grade level. Video, audio aids, hands-on approach is instrumental in guaranteeing that a patient understands medical requirements. Nurses should perform a demonstration and the patients repeat back the information to carry out the procedure themselves. It's a very important thing for us to do. Nurses should also teach the patient's family and members and caregivers at home about the ongoing or the follow-up care. And always remember this bottom line, each patient is different. Not every patient has learning ability. Patients may have developmental disorders, literacy limitations. Some patients may respond better to visual content than to the plain text. Others may have a hearing or vision impaired. Nurses may encounter language or cultural barriers. So all this we need to overcome. Answer the following questions when you're assessing. What level of education they have? Can they read and comprehend directions of the medication, diet, and procedure treatments? What is the best teaching method for them? Reading, viewing, or participating in the demonstration? What language does your patient speak? Does the patient want basic information or in-depth instruction? How well does the patient see and hear? Outcome. What would be the outcome? So the main
Madhvi? I think Madhvi? I think she has gone offline. So till she comes back, I just wanted to re-emphasize that what is important, like what from her talk, I understood that there are 7 C's of communication, which is very important that the nurse should know. That is one, whatever information or whatever health education you give to the patient or whatever communication you have with the patient and caregiver or with the healthcare workers, it's very important that it should be correct. It should be correct when I say it has to have facts. There has to be some proof. Only then a nurse can be very confident to speak. Second, it should be complete. Okay, do not miss any important information. It has to be clear, clarity. It has to be organized, simple, and comprehensive. Concrete, that means it should be very specific what you want to say. Courteous, always try and be in other person's shoes. it has to be concise, and it has to be clear. So it's very important, you know, what are the 7 C's of communication. Now, Madhavi, is she back? Okay. Snehal, are you in?
Can you,
Snehal?
yeah, can you hear me?
Madhavi, are you back?
Yes, Shine, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Madhavi, I want, do you have anything more to say, or I just want to ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Madhavi, like you have focused on effective communication of a nurse when she is giving health education to the patient or when she is communicating with the relatives. Can you just speak few lines on how, when, where can you implement this teach back concept? Madhavi? Madhavi, can you hear me?
If the patient has understood what instructions have been given to him. So it's right from the entry to the exit and throughout the follow-up where the teach back has to be. For example, it can be, as I shared in
I think connectivity is an issue. To add on to what Madhavi said, it is very important that whatever instructions you give, you take a teach back from the patient and relative. Then only your whatever you have communicated becomes effective, so that we both become on the same page. Or only if you communicate and if you are not taking a response from them, it becomes very difficult. Okay, so difficult, they may they may not get the correct information. So teach back is very important concept, and I would request everybody, I'm sure many of the organizations are doing, but I think starting from the time of admission till discharge and even after for the continuum of the care, whatever instructions you give, very important to get a teach back or a repeat back from the patient's relative. Okay, Snehal, I want to ask you one question. Nowadays, we are using this communication through mobile, through voice video calls. So how can you ensure privacy and confidentiality in whatever information you are sharing with the patient or relatives? Or the doctors or healthcare workers?
When we talk about the confidentiality, first of all, we should know what is confidentiality. Confidentiality means any personal information held by the trust is confidential. Within the trust, almost all staffs will have access to confidential and private information. The Data Protection Act 1998 and the Caldecott principles give all individuals, patients, staff alike the right to expect that we handle their personal information properly and to keep it confidential. Nowadays, smartphone is a trend. Many medical applications for smartphones have been developed and widely used by healthcare professionals and the patients also. Day by day, the use of smartphones is getting more attention in healthcare. Medical applications on smartphone is useful tool in the evidence-based practice and medicine also. At the point of care, in addition to their use in mobile communication, clinical communications also.
Correct. So, Snehal, to add on to what you said, I think it's better that we have not to use a personal mobile, right? It's always better that the hospital gives either a tablet or a phone, so that you can ensure that confidentiality is maintained. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the time is up, and I really appreciate everybody trying to finish on time, because it's not at all easy, to finish communication in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I really appreciate. But just before we close, I want to tell you all what are the don'ts of communication, which we nurses, which we seniors always tend to commit this mistake. It's very important that if we do not understand what the other person is saying, you admit, you tell them, you express, not just nod. Now, when you nod this head this way, or when you nod this way, it gives a lot of meaning for the other person, because Arabs take it in different way, Indians take it in different way, so it is very important that if you have not understood, say I have not understood. Another point which I want to emphasize is when I have experienced this, when I go to meet the patient's relative, they tell me exactly how many patients I had in the night, how many nurses I had in the night, what was the nurse-patient ratio. Imagine the relative is telling me. So I was really surprised. How is this relative knowing what is the nurse-patient ratio? So it's very important that we have these challenges day to day, but we should not communicate this to the patient's relative or, caretakers or anybody. It's very important that we address it to our nurse leaders, but not to the relative. Another common thing what I see is in the corridor, the nurse stands and shouts, housekeeping, housekeeping. Okay, so imagine in the daytime when you are shouting like this, what will be the scenario in the night time? So we as leaders, I think we should keep our noise noise meter and sometimes sensitize versus what is the noise used by them in the department. Another day when I went for rounds, one patient told me, you have 4 syringe pumps, but none of your pumps are working. Oh, that was another news I got from the relative. So if any equipment breakdown is there, it's a casual talk. Probably an in charge have come there and then you keep telling, no, I use that pump, I borrowed from your SICU. So it's very important that what are the types of communication we should have with the patient. There are formal communication, there are social communication, there are therapeutic communication, but what should we communicate in front of the patient? We can always come out, talk at the nursing station than having such a remote. Another thing, when we put a new joinee, sometimes we go, she's a new joinee, she doesn't know, she just joined yesterday. Never criticize our fellow workers. Suppose if the relative asks, when is the doctor expected? That doctor, he never comes in the morning, he always comes in the night. So never criticize your fellow workers. That is another important point which you need to understand. Another thing which Tangam ma'am keeps on emphasizing, I remember, whenever you answer a call bell, what is our tendency? We forget at times, we forget to go and revert to them. But when we remember, just tell them, I'm so sorry, I forgot to get back to you. But 1, 2, 3, this is the answer or this is the result. Okay? So it's very important that you attend the call bell and revert. And common mistakes, what you do is when we communicate, we do, but all this, our body language, our expressions, body language talks a lot, what you want to communicate. So I just want to do, before I conclude, I want to do an activity. If you all can switch on your video, I would be happy. A 2-minute, Vincy, just give me 2 minutes. Can you just switch on your video?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Yeah,
Please
all those who are listening to this, can you switch on video? Yeah. So I will say something and I want you all to repeat. Okay, action. I want you all to repeat the action, what I do. But listen to what I'm saying. What is important is listen to what I'm saying. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's start. Put your hand to your nose. Clap your hands. Hold your left hand. Pinch your cheeks. Touch your shoulder. Stamp your foot. Cross your arms. Put your hand to your mouth. So it's very important to listen than just going through the gesture what the person is doing. So you can imagine what is strong, what the gesture, sometimes you have frowning face. I'm like always my boss, Elizabeth ma'am, Elizabeth Joseph ma'am, she always tell you, Shine, expression is shown in your face, but it's very important. Sometimes you have to mask your expression. That is important, but it's very important your reactions are seen in your face. So your gesture plays an important role and your active listening plays an important role. There is a lot to talk, but in the short 1 hour, I think my team has done a wonderful job. And I thank you very much for giving this opportunity. And let us practice, like one of my team members said, it's very important to practice how you communicate effectively. So let us I know we are very good in communication, but let us again practice and ensure that there is effective communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shine Anil. Before we wind up, we have a small information regarding the upcoming ANICON, which is in the month of May. So we have a small display for you.
Give me 1 second, please. So we hope to see all of you on May 21st and 22nd for the ANICON conference. And we will be just now sharing the link for your feedback. So you can take the link and answer a few questions and you can get your certificate to your email sent. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to Dr. Shubhangi Jadhav, our secretary for the Maharashtra chapter, ANI.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yes,
Am I audible? Am I audible, Jessica?
yes, Dr. Shubhangi. Sorry, she is the vice president for the Maharashtra chapter, ANI. Sorry, Dr. Shubhangi.
No problem. Good afternoon, one and all. Now this is the time to communicate to each and everyone what we are feeling from within us. That is the effective communication. Good afternoon again, one and all. It is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this empowering occasion of Empower Hour by Maharashtra chapter ANI, which is a very fantastic national platform to exchange the knowledge and sharing the nursing professionals' knowledge with each other. We express our sincere thanks on behalf of Maharashtra chapter ANI to Madam Thankam Gomez, founder president ANI, to her constant support and guidance, encouragement, appreciation to organize this session and make this session a success. Then we express our gratitude to National Office Bearers ANI for their motivation, support, guidance, and encouraging words. Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Clara Madam, Captain Ajita Madam, and Ms. Shubda Shakurikar Madam. We will always remain grateful to you all the National Office Bearers. We would like to thank you, our beloved Madam Shine Anil, for keeping the Knowledge Empowering Express on track and empowering the audience through moderating the facilitators. We also thank Madam for all your efforts and coordination to make this session a success story. Thank you, Madam Shine Anil. My heartfelt thanks to all the facilitators to enlighten us the Empower Hour with their rich clinical and administrative knowledge with regards to patient safety and effective communication, who made this session lively. Thank you, Madam Prajakta, Madam Madhavi, and Madam Snehal for all your encouraging words, and we will inculcate all this knowledge in our clinical practice. It is my pleasure to thank you all the chapter heads, office bearers, and definitely all the participants who have attended this session. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you, Ms. Vinci Tribhuwan, President Maharashtra chapter ANI, Ms. Jessica D'Souza, Secretary for all the guidance, support, and coordination to make this event a success. And definitely, we all will cultivate this knowledge gained during this Empower Hour to achieve many endeavors, especially during this pandemic session. We need to communicate effectively, not only for the patient's safety, but a small effective communication may help a lot. Your small encouraging words may help a lot to a patient. A simple example: don't worry, your CT score is very low, you will improve very faster. So a simple effect that will be a very effective communication. Thank you one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica, over to you.
Thank you, all the delegates. Thank you, Dr. Shubhangi. Kindly fill the feedback. The link is shared in the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay,